I'm Carol Chang, occupational therapist with Evolving Homes, and I'm hanging out today with my friend Dawn, who's got this walker that we had been talking about before on a post that I had made. So we are going to try out all of the potential problems that we had identified and see it in real life with a clinician who can really tell us what's going on.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dawn with Aurora Independence, and I am excited to go over this walker today.
Woohoo! So Dawn, you got that walker for a client, right? Through the Capable program. And how did they decide that they wanted that?
Correct. So it was really interesting because she really requested it. She said she's seen them in her senior living apartment. She has some lower back issues. When she walks with her rollator, she kind of walks like angled anyway. And she figured the stand-up walker is going to solve my problems. We really should do it. I tried to chat with her a little bit about some of the concerns I have, and she was dead set on it. So I said, okay, you know what? We're going to try it.
Awesome.
So she had seen it and she wanted it. She knew that it's going to solve her problems. So we're going to find out.
That's so interesting because basically it just means that what you see is how you figure these things out. And let me just share my screen really quickly. I'm just going to show you. This is my original post here. And this is something that I had seen in the newspaper, and I've seen it a million times over, and it just drove me bonkers because I could see so many potential problems and how it felt like marketing was over marketing. So I think it's really interesting that somebody had bought it and now that's what it is. So one of my friends had said that when she's tried it before, it really only works like 1 out of 5 times, that basically you need a seriously strong core to manage this. And I know that was a concern I had because in my experience, whenever you have your hands inside of a trough like that, you're basically taking your hands out of it, right? And so the only way to turn that baby is to, use your core, because you don't get that leaning to one side to be able to do it. So yeah, when you're doing that, are you finding that that's difficult to do, or do you feel like you're stuck a little?
A little bit. I mean, it's kind of a whole body motion. So I'm definitely like, when I have to do this turn, I mean, I don't know if you can see my feet, but I am definitely like pivoting on that one foot to really kind of get it to go. And especially on carpet.
And you know what? I think the first thing I thought of when I saw you do that was, how many people do we have with lower back pain? They are not going to be happy twisting if they're not used to that.
Right.
And so,
now,
with
that being said, you can make a longer, wider turn, but you can see I'm already running into the wall. It requires a lot of space. So if you want to do that 360, I mean, you really kind of have to have that core strength.
Yeah. And you're shuffling those feet like crazy.
I know, you need a lot of space to make this work. And if you look at it too, even this back part, it's long. Even putting it together, I was surprised at how much it stuck out. And I would have some concerns for people who potentially have a wider body habitus, or, if they have feet that are kind of like a wide base of support. I mean, you're really close to these edges here. There's not a lot of wiggle room there. So
yeah. And that's a concern, because that's a fall risk for sure. Not having enough space, like width. And that, what if you hit it just a little bit, you're not expecting it, you might trip and fall. I mean, I could totally see that. I hadn't even thought about that.
And honestly, the only reason I'm going to take it to her is because she lives in a senior living apartment and all the carpets are low. The floors are all flat. It's all level. She's got maybe a tiny little ramp, and she's got 24-hour support. It's the only reason I'm letting her purchase this and get this. Because I was like, well, you're in the best situation if it's going to work, because it's tight. And her 1 bedroom, I mean, it's going to be tight, and it's going to require her aide to help her. Yeah. And they're down for it. Right? They think it's going to help too. So we'll see.
You know what? Sometimes you just got to try it and then you'll see. I mean, we just happen to know through experience and our biomechanics background, but other people they need to try it to see it. And, when I think about that in a small space, all I can think is like the fall risk. If you knock something over and you just automatically want to go and grab it, that's when you're going to be off balance and you don't expect it. So yeah,
you can't reach over it. You know how everybody always approaches things the wrong way and they want to reach, and it's like, you don't have that wiggle room here. So,
I wonder too, like with approaching a fridge, where do you stick that thing? Because, usually we would turn it and get it out there, but it's so wide. I
It
don't,
is.
I don't know. You'll have to do some videos for us to see in a small apartment and see what happens. We'll have to follow up with Dawn after. We'll see. Okay, so yeah, definitely large footprint, maneuverability was a problem. So one of my friends had mentioned getting up from that seat is difficult. So she was saying that her patient found that the arms were being pinned to the side. So when normally you need your hands to be able to push up from, and you don't have anything there. And that's so interesting because is the height up and down? Because your feet are not even touching the ground.
Yeah, so
I mean,
so number one, I am swinging. I'm only 5'5", and I think that person's gonna be, I think she's 5'4"-ish, but hunched, so we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I'm swinging. It's pretty easy to do. It's actually a pretty small seat. I was actually surprised on the video. You might not be able to see it, but absolutely, I have linebacker shoulders. Sorry to my husband, but me and him have the same size, and I don't know who that's more sad for, me or him, but I am tight. I mean, you can hopefully see that I am touching, and I kind of don't know how anybody who needs to push up, where they're pushing up from, because this is not super.
Oh gosh, my rotator cuff patients all just screamed just now.
Right, and arthritic, you have to have really good, and so I guess then you're stuck getting up. But again, you can see from me, sorry, and I don't have it locked. I'm the bad OT, but you can see the angle of my thighs. Even that's not super. Well,
you don't have stability when you don't have your feet on the ground. So you're totally just going to be swinging like that. Well, and
it's not adjustable. So this height is what it is.
Oh, wow.
At least on this model, which is a Zeller.
Interesting.
So Drive has one as well. So they may have more options, but on this one, that is not what this is, what it is.
And you have space right there. I just saw you put your hands on the edges. You have space to actually move with your legs, but you're tiny. So what happens like when I have a 200-pound lady or male? I mean, there's going to be no space. There's no surface area there for them to push up from. So I would be really concerned about that. That would worry me. So that's definitely something to consider.
Absolutely. It's really good for straight, long walking, which again is why I'm okay trying with this client, because what she needs is to be able to walk from her apartment to her aide's car. It's a long straight hallway.
Well, and she has somebody else to help. And I wonder too, that was another thing I had identified before, getting that baby in the car. I mean,
so I was surprised. One, actually really easy to fold up. Not terrible. You do kind of have to push it to get the rest of the way.
Okay.
Now with an aide or someone, actually pretty light. Okay. I need 2 fingers, or 2 hands, but I carried this up the stairs and I didn't even lose my breath. So
cool.
Honestly, not bad.
Hey, not bad. Hey, there's a plus. I like pluses.
I forget what the final weight limit is on it, but I was surprised at how kind of light it was.
One thing though, is it looks like it's pretty long. Would that fit in the trunk pretty easily? Or would you be having to lift it up and maneuver it? And you know what I mean? It wouldn't just pop in there nicely. You might have to actually pick it up over the head a little bit to, I don't know, get the wheels in.
I think a van or an SUV, it's probably going to be okay, but it's probably going to go in at an angle. This is not getting in my Honda Civic. Not at all.
That doesn't seem like the kind of thing. And I think that that's kind of sad because, when I think about taking a nice fun stroll with the family, it's, you put the devices in the car and then you go to the zoo and you walk around, or getting to a doctor's appointment, I would be worried about having a fall on the way to the doctor's appointment, getting that baby in and out. So I definitely think that would be a caregiver kind of thing. That's not going to be an independent walking.
No, and it does say in all of its directions, you should have somebody with you when using this. It is really, I will say the directions were really nice on that. They were do not use it when it's slippery. Do not use it on an incline unless you're supervised. Do not do it without supervision. They're basically, even when they're selling it, saying this is not an independent use item. You really should have something with you. So I was impressed by that. I also know our clients, and they don't always listen to it. Once they feel confident, they may just try to take it out on their own. So it's an interesting device.
Yeah, you never know. I know one of my friends had said that she has kind of a 50-50 success rate of getting of it working to stand up. So most people will be interested in that because they think, cool, that'll hold me up. And what she said was that 50% will like be able to stand up, and the other 50 just push it too far in front of them. And now it's a serious fall risk because look at those giant wheels in front of there. Rollators are always a lot fast. They go faster. They leave your vicinity a lot quicker.
Right. And on these, if you are someone who walks like this, one, you're at the foot. You're at the point where those big wheels are, that it's even more scary when you turn, because I don't know if you can see it in the video, but
Yeah.
I am a right person. So I'm real close to that right wheel while I'm turning. I'm about to get my toes. Actually, my toes are getting run over right now. So honestly, I could see how if someone is not directly in the middle of this, they're
Yeah.
gonna run over their toes. If you've got diabetic neuropathy and you don't know when you're hitting things, you could end
Yeah.
up with crushing injuries. I mean, there's a lot of concerns with it.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think that's solving your posture problems with one device.
And with
Oh,
that too, I don't know if you guys can see it there, but like if you press on this too hard, do you see it kind of
there's a
bows?
lot of flex in there.
There is, and this is kind of more at my proper height. The higher you get, the way more flex there is. So if you're somebody who's going to lean on it and depend on it, it's not the device for you.
And I have a question, because when I'm looking at your posture like that, I think if you were to be walking around a lot for long periods of time and your shoulders are static like that, don't you get tired and you start to want to slouch over? I mean, normal walking comes with reciprocal motion. It's like left foot, right arm, and then you get swing and you get motion, and that's how your lower back and everything, get the
Right.
stretch. But it seems like you're kind of stuck and kind of just you're one big block, step, 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 step.
Yep. That's exactly it. I mean, and honestly, even standing here talking to you, I'm finding myself like wanting to lean and popping my hip out for what's comfortable for me. But yeah, I mean, then it starts to really get your shoulder up, and it's just it's again really good for straight walking and maybe short distances. Like I could see at a zoo where you're going to be up and walking a good portion of the day, that might be fine. But like, I don't know, everyday use, I don't think this is going to be super successful.
Well, and I know a lot of people have said that it just ends up being something that they put in the corner. And somebody else, another therapist, had said that she had ordered it and it was so expensive that she felt like she had to use it just because she didn't want her family to feel like, oh my gosh, we wasted all this money. But really, it didn't feel that
Right.
safe and it was uncomfortable.
Right. And what I could also see is people accidentally like thinking that the higher you put it up, which number one, it's not really easy to bring this up. Like I have
Oh,
rheumatoid arthritis myself, actually. And
yeah.
so like that actually is really tough on me.
Oh,
I
wow.
could see people wanting to be way up here
Yeah.
because that feels better. Like, oh, I can
Yeah.
actually lean on it a little, but again, the flex.
Yeah.
But
I'm
really,
scared that thing's going to topple right over.
which it does. You hit any little bump and it wants to immediately. Like
Really?
I almost tripped on it the first time because my floors are not even in my house. But I hit one bump and I was like, oh, okay, hang on. It happens real easy,
Yeah.
especially if you're leaning on it.
Yeah.
If you're back and you're just pushing, not as terrible, but you can even see how it's getting caught on the carpet for a hot second. If the wheels are
Yeah. That was the first
out.
thing that I thought when I saw that ad in the paper, that I thought, what's going to happen is you topple over and you can't release your hands to stop you from falling or anything. It's just, you're just going to be watching that concrete get closer and closer and closer. Oh
And
gosh.
you're gonna fall over it. I mean, there's nowhere to catch yourself because there's like this middle crossbar here.
Oh
So I
yeah.
can't even take an extra step to like, how when you start to fall, you kind of want to catch.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
is no option for that in a way, because when you start to go forward, you're like, oh, and I'm hitting it with my knee, and now suddenly I'm down.
Yeah. Are the brakes helpful there? When you squeeze the brakes, does that help you any? No, it's just slowing you down.
They kind of are okay. The other thing is too, with arthritis, I'll see if I can come a little closer for that part. They're actually kind of hard to do. Like I can't. I have rheumatoid arthritis myself, and it's like,
ooh,
I'm really struggling. So I don't know.
Maybe. So I can see where like the design is like you're leaning it forward. Okay, so it's built just like a rollator, really, like just that push lock.
Yeah, it's built like a rollator. Squeezing is really easy,
Yeah.
but because it's not here where you can just push and gravity's like not helping you. This push is actually really hard. Like I find myself wanting to use both hands. And I can release really easy, but like this initial like solid lock, you guys can see how I'm really pushing, and that's my weaker hand. So I think an 80-year-old who's got worse arthritis than me, like they're not going to be able to do it.
Oh, I was just crying about the shoulder also just now.
Oh, right.
Like you need to pull the shoulder to go over. Like there's just no way. That's just not going to happen. So
it's really hard.
What about the door? So did you did a couple thresholds, or how did that work? So were you able to go from like carpeted to like a different surface? I know some people had identified like anything all terrain that wasn't like super flat, super perfect, like in a hospital or a SNF. That it's really difficult. So, bumpy pavement and that threshold. Yeah, it's perfect. You've got that difference right there.
So let me see. I'm going to turn you just a little bit. And sorry, my cats are here, but also real life. Hello.
Real life. Yes, trip hazards.
I mean, I actually wasn't pushing that hard, and maybe it's because I had the brake on by accident. Hang on, but you can see, I'm not exaggerating this at all. There's a little bump. It got stuck at one point. It's okay. These thresholds right now are probably at most a 1/4 inch.
Yeah.
But my downstairs has maybe like, it's really bad. There's almost like one point where there's 1/2 inch difference between the floor and what tiles they put in my kitchen. And this will not be different.
Yeah. Well, that's a common thing in the kitchen. Usually when you go from a tile to a harder surface, all of those rounded thresholds all come in like those rounded ones. I mean, I remember when we did my kitchen, I had to talk to the contractors and have them pull them up, because I said, listen, the whole plan is to make the 0 threshold, and you just popped in like, a 1/2 inch threshold in there. So I need that pulled up and made flat. So, when you were playing around with it downstairs, did you find that was any different than the carpet that you are up here? Like I would actually worry about it going too fast, especially like on hardwood surfaces.
Right. I would say it was no different for me than using a rollator. So the same concerns that you have with the rollator, that if you push too far ahead, it's going to run away on you, still exist. This is definitely easier to control speed wide on the carpet, but it's actually harder to get started on carpet than a rollator is. Like I'm finding that it gets stuck, and I think it has to do with how big the wheels are, because I think they're large to try and compensate for the weight distribution. But if they're turned, if like one's a little funky, it's actually really hard to get this thing going. And then for a hot second, you can feel the back want to lift. I haven't had it trip just because it won't start, but it's not stable. Like the more I'm using it, the more I'm like a little nervous about giving this to my person. I may not let her keep it.
So I have a question. So like if so we saw the cat earlier, and one of my biggest concerns whenever I do home safety evaluations is animals, because people say, okay, the dog laying in the front, and is the cat going to be underfoot? And I'm like, I don't care about the animal as much as all the toys they leave around, because they don't pick them up, and they're always these tiny little squeak mouse or something dark, or you can't see it in the carpet. So how would you pick it up from there? Like if you were rushing maybe to the bathroom suddenly, and there was something in your way, would you be able to get it?
I don't think so. I mean, like here's one of my cat toys. I feel like I wouldn't even know. I guess maybe you could try to like walk over it if you can see it and reach down, but then like look where my arm, like you kind of need to keep the arm up, because I don't know that I trust the seat to support you.
Yeah.
So
see, in a rollator, on the way down, you'd have the brakes to just go ahead and do that. But there, you actually have to push them forward. I think that people in real life, they probably wouldn't do that.
And I will say, I can't really see it, but there's also like this nifty removable bag. But I would say maybe if I didn't have the bag there, I could have seen it better. But like you're not reaching forward.
Yeah, right.
You're gonna arm neck.
Right.
You can't reach over because it's too high. I guess you could try sideways too, but you're still the same problem where like, where are you putting your support if you're somebody who needs support?
Right. And that's assuming you have plenty of like left and right space. So if you're going down a hallway, you're really not going to have a lot of space to park that rollator or walker out of the way, so that you can walk around the rollator and then go get it. So
and then we're back to the same problem too, where if you if you need to lock it to
Yeah.
sit, to then go get the item, well, how are you getting up now? Like, we still have that problem.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
again, having a person with you would be necessary.
Well, I'll be interested to find out how your person likes it. So we'll have to get back together again and find out can they get into the fridge? You know, does that fit in through the bathroom? Do they have turning radius inside of a small ALF bathroom? Like, I am really kind of curious because I feel like you would have to pick your feet up and do like the little dancey thing, which, you know, we both know, we are always talking to patients about that. They don't like to pick up their feet, but you pretty much have no choice, I think, if you're going to use this walker.
Right. And you know what I also think is interesting that I didn't say, but it has this nifty little spot right here for you to put your cane, which I thought was interesting. And I was like,
Cool.
It's automatically one, making a place for you to carry your cane, but it's assuming that you are probably using this for one purpose only, and then you're grabbing your cane for your more complex tasks.
Yeah.
Meaning, I think that they anticipate most people using this have pretty good balance,
right,
or control to begin with, which I agree. Like, I kind of need balance and control to be using this.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how my 90+ person with lower back pain who walks like this does with it.
So is there an upper connection for that cane? Like, I see where the cane bottom is. Is there something to connect the upper part? Because what would stop it from like just falling left and right and grabbing it and losing your balance?
That is exactly the question, but no, nothing came with this one.
Okay, so half-baked ideas. Good idea. Execution could use some work.
Just a little bit. But yeah, I just there's a lot with it. It's interesting.
Yeah. Well, cool. I totally want to check it out. So if anybody is interested, Dawn and I are going to talk again. We'll find out what happened in real life, and maybe we could check out some more product stuff together in the future.
I'd love it.
Awesome. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
All right. Thanks.